Hi guys, GCSE Economics here, and today I'm just going to bring you the final section in terms of my feedback for Year 11 with regard to the GCSE Economics paper. That's paper A591 for June 2015. Apologies for the camera work, I've just broken my tripod. Okay, so let me just flick into the correct document here and let's get this started. So this is question 3A. Using an example, other than the buying and selling of cars, explain what is meant by the tertiary sector. So this candidate's written, the tertiary sector is a sector of the economy responsible for providing goods and services. The tertiary sector is the public sector. So if you've got some idea of the fact that it's to do with service provision, and give a reasonable example such as the NHS or education, that type of service, then you get the 2 marks on that question. Straightforward. Let's move it along. 3B. Not too badly done, I think, my class on this one. I would say the only thing some people didn't do is you got 3 out of 4 simply because you left the pound sign off your answer, and it does say specifically in the exam paper, take a mark off if there is no pound sign. So it's quite a straightforward question. Work out the total revenue from selling the 30 cars, so it's 30 times 1,000. Work out the total costs, which is in the figure 3, so that's 7 plus 3. So you've got 30,000 revenue, 10,000 cost, take 1 from t'other, and there's your answer, £20,000 profit. 3C part 1. State what is meant by the term price elasticity of demand. So you could do one of 2 things. You could either write out the equation, minus percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price, or define it as this candidate has done. Price elasticity of demand is how responsive demand is to a change in price. Perfect. Question 3C part 2. Explain why Bill has advised Alan to reduce the selling price of his car. So in the previous example, you're already told, or you've calculated, that the price elasticity of demand for the cars is very price elastic. So that means a small change in price, which would mean a reduction in price in this instance, would lead to a very significant increase in the quantity demanded. And therefore the likelihood of Alan selling his car is much greater, and so you just need to write an answer to that effect. So what's this candidate written? So the candidate's written, as Alan's car is price elastic, it means he will be able to increase sales by dropping prices. More likely to increase sales, therefore profits, more likely to cover the costs of the car, etc. So the general gist of it is there. And then lastly, the essay question, discuss the advantages and disadvantages of a national minimum wage. Lovely question, this one. This candidate sadly has not put the proper minimum wage diagram on. So I'm sure you know the one that I mean. It's in the textbook where the equilibrium lies beneath the minimum wage. Obviously we would want to see W and Q on these axes rather than price and quantity. So there are various bits and pieces wrong with this one. So this candidate has only actually scored 8 out of 12 on this particular question. So it's a level 3 answer, which is okay, but to get the level 4 there needs to be some type of evaluation, as I've mentioned previously. So a 2-sided discussion and a justification, some type of reasoned conclusion, which is based on fact and reasoned argument, not an in my opinion style answer. So what's this candidate written? A national minimum wage has advantages and disadvantages. Firstly, the introduction of the minimum wage will stop the exploitation of labour, as they will now be paid a living wage. Secondly, the economy will grow via demand-led economic growth, as the minimum wage will be given to poorer people. Poorer people spend a higher proportion of their income, which will lead to a general rise in demand. Now this is nice because they're inferring, although they haven't actually referred to it explicitly, they are referring here to the marginal propensity to consume of the less well-off relative to those people who are a little bit wealthier. And as we know from our studies in economics, those people who are less well-off do traditionally spend a greater proportion of their income, so their MPC is very high, and consequently delivering extra income to that group of people is likely to have more of an impact in terms of additional spending into the economy. So they go on. However, the minimum wage, and remember we said in the previous video, however, signalling the on the other hand type of discussion, the minimum wage also has some disadvantages. An increase in minimum wages can lead to cost push inflation, nice, where firms will now have more costs. This can lead to unemployment, which actually weakens the economy. Furthermore, an increase in the minimum wage will be financed by the taxpayer via taxation. This can have disincentive effects leading to lower productivity and GDP. Some argue that minimum wages should not be introduced as the economy left to grow. I'm not really sure what that says. Finally, a minimum wage makes UK goods less internationally competitive as costs are higher. This means the UK will not be able to compete against BRIC nations. So this, as I said, is L3, and this particular candidate has got 8 marks out of 12. Let me just pull up another question which I have. I'll just focus on my new merch, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the new mugs there and the new mouse mats as well. Tip top stuff. So let me just pull up this other answer just to see if we've got something a little bit better on the minimum wage answer. This is from one of my candidates from last year. Right. Ah, nice. So actually, ladies and gentlemen, so this question actually, it is actually out of 8 rather than 12, so that previous candidate did get the full marks on this. This is the one, the diagram I was talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So we've got the minimum wage line above the equilibrium wage. So it'd be nice to have that of different things that you can have within your answers. So let's see what they say on the mark scheme. In terms of L4. So the L4 stuff's down here. The effect of the national minimum wage depends largely on 2 points. Firstly,